Hello, everyone. This is your host, Susan Rosen. And today my guest is Brian Gryn. Is that the right way?
Yeah, that's correct.
I should have asked you that before. And Brian is an intermittent fasting expert, wellness coach, author, human movement specialist, and host of the Get Lean, Eat Clean podcast. Be better if I could read, huh? What began for Brian as a personal exploration into fasting has turned into a thriving business, helping middle-aged men make intermittent fasting simple and doable. And through his Integrative Institute of Nutrition education and 10 years of group training and coaching, Brian learned that eating is integral in helping the body heal itself, and all it takes are some small daily changes to make the biggest impact. And Brian also developed a program that focuses on nutrition, meal timing, stress management, sleeping like a superhero, which I think we all could probably use help with that, and micro workouts. And that is called the Fat Burner Blueprint Program.
Yep.
Sounds like you've been very busy.
Yeah, it's been fun. It's been a fun journey. Thank you for having me on.
Yeah. So let me ask you just one simple question at the beginning, which is, it sounds like you have primarily been focused on men, or have you expanded to include women now, or is a lot of what you're saying, obviously not all necessarily,
right,
be applicable for women as well as men, just so people know starting out?
Yeah, I mean, predominantly I've been working with men, but I have clients that were women, and so I think it can go either way. But I would say the Fat Burner Blueprint for the most part, although I actually just talked to a woman today regarding it, so it's not open to just males, but that just seems where, I don't know, maybe I can relate more with them than women,
or vice versa. Right?
Exactly. Yeah. So
yeah, interesting. I was just curious because there are other physical things, right, in life that only apply to women or only apply to men, and maybe the way that women react to something in some particular area might be totally different than how men would. So
no doubt about it.
Yeah. So that was kind of where I was coming from, that people need to, in listening to our conversation, they need to kind of keep that in mind and don't go running off if we're talking about one or the other and
I
say,
think,
that's for me.
Right. I mean, when it comes to a lot, probably 90% of the things that I talk about, it's probably applicable for both men and women, but there are hormonal differences and things that women have to take into account that men don't. So
no, that's true. And especially in the age group that we're talking about. So definitely on that. But so tell us a little bit about how you kind of ended up in this niche of
well, I mean, I've been in the health and fitness arena for like over 20 years, and I started doing it for myself and then started coaching others, really, both in weight training, and then got into more of the nutrition end of things. I actually got into fasting from a client of mine who actually had on my podcast. She was pre-diabetic and trying everything, and she got into fasting, and then she had such great results. All her numbers came back to normal. And I was like, oh, I want to learn about fasting. The only thing I knew about fasting was, through like different religions and things like that. I didn't know much about using it perhaps as a tool for weight loss or inflammation and things like that. So I just dove right in and started, at the time now I'm in my 40s, I'm 41, but at the time I was in my 30s, and it's like I feel like when you get in your 30s, 40s and up, you're always trying to get back what you used to have back when you were younger. And so I was sort of going through that because I was working out hard and doing things I thought the right way, but I needed to sort of take it to the next level. So so that's what got me into fasting, and I started doing it myself. And then I was like, wow, I'm getting such great results. I would love to just, teach others about it. And
Uh-huh.
yeah, just that sort of spurred me. So one of my clients really was the one that spurred me to, get into the
Hmm.
journal and the certification and things like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. So is fasting kind of the basis on which all of your other things are built off of?
Yes, I would say it's evolved a bit over time now, and
Hmm.
that I created like this fat burner blueprint where fasting is definitely a part of it, but it's not everything because,
Hmm.
as we know, if you're, like we talked about, if you're not sleeping right, if you have a
Yeah,
lot of stress, I don't care, then, fasting is a stressor. And if you're not getting those
that's
other
right.
things, you probably shouldn't fast. So I
Good
think
point.
I think it depends. And it is one of the cornerstones that I like to use when I
Mhm.
work with people, but I think we have to get these other pillars correct before we get into
Mm.
implementing fasting.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And so then do you also work with people on physical
Yeah.
routine? I don't want to say
Yeah.
routines, that's not the
Fitness
right thing,
or
but fitness.
you
Yeah.
I think the goal is just to build overall strength.
Okay.
There's so much out there research wise about, building muscle, how important it is
Hmm.
for longevity
Hmm.
and just overall health. Um, and so I call it like an activity upgrade. And I started working with, I've had him on my podcast a few times. It's called the Next 3 bar. And it's a resistance training bar. It's variable resistance. So
Oh,
it's not actually weights. I lifted weights. I've been lifting weights for 20 years. And
yeah.
when the whole COVID quarantine hit, I was like, well, I got to find something that's I can do in the house and doesn't take up a lot of room.
Yeah.
And so started implementing that in my own life, which I like to do. I like to try things on myself first before I
Yeah.
start using them with others. So yeah, it's resistant bands. There's a ground plate and an
Ah,
Olympic bar that's, I don't know, say a couple feet long. And
uh-huh.
I've just been using that on myself and my clients in this system. And I like it because I don't know if you're familiar with like variable resistance, but
Hmm.
let's just say you're lifting a weight, and let's just say you're lifting a weight above your head, a
Hmm.
normal 10-pound weight. Well, it's 10 pounds all the way up. It's from
Mm.
here to
Mm.
there. It doesn't matter. And then you extend your arm all the way. Well, variable resistance, if this was a band and it was attached to the ground and I was
Hmm.
pulling up, and I know if people aren't watching this on YouTube or is this going on YouTube or not?
It may, yeah.
It may.
Yeah,
Okay.
actually it does. Yeah, the interview, yeah, the videos go
The
on
video.
YouTube. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I guess the whole premise behind variable resistance is the stronger you get, the harder it
Hmm.
gets.
Okay. Okay. So the further you pull on the
Right.
band,
Or push.
which
Let's
makes
say you're
sense.
pushing up
Okay.
above your head, the band is
Hmm.
getting tighter and it's getting more difficult, but you're also
Right.
getting stronger because your arm's only almost fully extended.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
So yeah, so that's just
No,
the
I
idea.
think people can imagine that.
Yeah,
You know.
yeah. So it's a lot easier on your joints, and it just
Uh-huh.
makes sense because we're all built on a strength curve. We're stronger in
Um,
different areas and in different you know where we're holding the weight, we're
hmm.
stronger as a
Hmm.
so anyways, yeah. And
Interesting.
so yeah,
Interesting.
to answer your question, yeah, so it is a combination of strength training, sleep, stress, nutrition, meal
Mm.
timing, and fasting.
Hmm. Hmm. No, that's interesting. I'll have to find out more about that
Yeah,
resistance thing from you afterwards.
I know. I always say I've had the owner on the podcast a couple of times. They
Ah,
should be a sponsor.
yeah, exactly.
Right. I talk about them enough.
Yeah, yeah. No, you're right. You're absolutely right.
So yeah.
So, yeah. Um, yeah, I used to do, in fact, I have a couple of just the regular resistance bands
Oh,
because
good.
that's what
Yeah,
I needed to for my
for
one
your
of the things I
rehab on your
had for my, yeah,
shoulder.
for my rehab.
Mhm.
So, yeah, yeah. So that I have, but it sounds like what you're talking about is a little more professional isn't the right word, but a little more effective, efficient than
Yeah,
than tying
you
it
know,
around a doorknob, which is what I do.
right. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Excuse me. There's a ground plate, which
Ah,
it
okay.
it comes with a ground plate, so you actually put it under there, and you have to step on it so it doesn't go anywhere.
Oh, perfect.
And then
Okay.
there's a bar,
Hmm.
because holding the bands in your hands can be, you know,
Oh, yeah.
obviously, yeah, they can pull on your hands, and it
Yep.
could be
Yep.
Yeah. So there is like maybe a 2-foot Olympic bar.
Oh,
So
okay.
yeah, it's
Well,
pretty cool.
yeah, no, it sounds good. That sounds good. So, okay. So why don't you tell us a little bit about when you do start coaching somebody?
Mm-hmm.
What are the kinds of things that you look for? What are the
Yeah.
because I'm sure it's a little different for everybody, obviously, because we're all different, but
Right.
there's probably a kind of a process that you go through with people.
Yeah, no doubt about it. It's it's about a 6-step process, but the first
Uh-huh.
process step is just setting a baseline, finding out where they're at. Obviously, you don't know where you're going unless you know where you're starting from. So we sort of set a baseline and we get crystal clear on also what the person's individual reasons for doing, either
Mhm,
getting more energy, or
mhm,
they want to play with their kids, or they want to have they be able to play with their grandkids. You
mhm,
got to really
mhm,
sort of dig and find like the reasons why, and also figure out where they're at right now, so you do sort of like this full baseline
mm.
assessment. Yeah, a lot of times I like to use what's called a Dexa scan with a lot of individuals. And a Dexa
Oh,
scan, yeah, it's just a way to measure body fat composition,
mhm.
bone mass, a lot of other measures, but just sort of gives you where you're starting from, at least where your body's starting from.
Yeah,
And then also just building from there. And then from there, we just try to identify like the major culprits, or like those low hanging
mm,
fruits that make the
mm,
biggest impact. Because we all have those
yeah,
probably 1 or 2 or maybe 3 things that get in
yeah,
our way when it comes to our health and nutrition goals. And so identifying those right off the bat
mhm,
is really important. So you can get, it's all about creating small wins. And
yeah,
so I think it's just important to do that right off the bat, because then you just build momentum from there.
mhm. No, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So, and then, um, do you end up doing intermittent fasting with most of your clients, or how does that
Yeah,
work?
for sure. Some form or the other, right? Because I
Okay.
mean, we're all fasting to some degree, unless you're
Oh,
getting
that's
up in the
true.
middle of the night and eating.
Some people do. That's not
Yes.
advised, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Right. Exactly. I wouldn't advise that. But yeah, so we do eventually get into some form of fasting. I think most
Uh-huh.
importantly, before you get into that, is if you're having 5 meals, maybe cut that down to 3.
Mm,
And maybe when I say 5 meals, that's 3 meals and 2 snacks.
mm,
So I would say, yes, we start that way, improving the time between meals, to a point where it's at least 3 to 4 hours, and we're not
mm,
snacking all the time. And then once they get that down, then we'll also see, what they're eating as well is important. But
mm,
some people do better with higher carbs, lower carbs. It just depends.
mm,
But mainly we prioritize protein and and healthy fats. And then depending on the individual, we'll sort of tweak where they're at as far as their carbs are concerned.
mm.
But from there, once we wrap our arms around that, then typically we'll start getting into maybe some type of fasting, and depending on their goals.
Okay. Okay. Interesting. So when you say protein,
Mhm.
there's so many discussions, we'll put it that way, conversations
Yeah.
with different people about protein and the different kinds of protein,
Mm.
not to mention more or less protein, right?
Right.
Um, so kind of where do you fall on, where do you land on on those?
On the spectrum of protein, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I gotta say, I think I've the more I've done podcasting and interviewed other
Uh-huh.
individuals around this topic, and for myself, especially someone that's trying to build muscle, and
Mm,
also someone that's even getting older, I mean, in their 50s and 60s, it's actually more beneficial to get more
mhm.
protein, because a lot of times
Yep.
you don't always absorb everything you eat.
Yeah.
um, and protein is satiating.
Hmm.
And if you're, as far as types of protein, I mean, I used to be more of like a pescatarian.
Uh-huh.
I've shifted more to eating nutrient dense nose to tail eating.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just if you want the best bang for your buck, I think that eating the animal proteins are the best bang for your buck as far as just like all the nutrients and the high bioavailability of that protein compared to maybe a veggie protein. So not to say that you can't, if you're a vegetarian, you can find ways. You might have to supplement maybe a little bit more here and there. There might be, deficiencies perhaps in iron or B12 or things like that. But I just think if you're taking a clean slate, I would focus on those nutrient dense nose to tail. Like I eat liver, heart, and then, I'll get, and I'll do either wild fish or, eat wild caught fish and shellfish and eggs. I think those are all good places to get your protein from.
Yeah. Well, and I would tend to agree with you too. I mean, there's more and more research coming out that as we get older, we need more protein.
Yes.
and it's not really even just protein, because our bodies just don't do anything as well as it used to.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
In any area. I don't care which area you talk about, except maybe putting fat on. But
yes, I agree. I think you have to be maybe that much more conscious as you get older and be that more exact when it comes to eating, because it's that much more difficult to get results and to get optimal, longevity and just feeling good, feeling great. That's not to say you can't feel great and perform when you're in their 50s, 60s and beyond. It's doable. You just got to work that much harder.
Yeah. And just be more, I think it's a level of awareness.
Right.
I mean,
and it's never too late. I mean, I see it all the time. I mean, people, they might let themselves go, and it's like, so you let yourself go. So start tomorrow and change and make those changes if you really want to. It's never too late.
Yeah. No, I would tend to agree. I think it's, I think that a lot of times as people get older, they do start thinking to themselves, I'm old. Therefore,
right.
Right. And I think it really is just a state of mind.
It's a state of mind, and also who are you surrounding yourself with?
Very true.
Yeah.
Very true. Especially these days, I think with COVID, with all the, not necessarily just the disease, but what else is going on in the world and in our lives. And I think sometimes people just kind of go, do whatever's easiest.
Yeah.
Instead of realizing how much better they're going to feel.
Yeah. No, I agree. I mean, surrounding yourself with healthy, positive people can go a long way. Yeah.
Well, especially, since going to a gym is so difficult these days. I mean, I know where I am, the gym I went to, the gym my husband went to are both closed. There are a couple of others around, but
right.
Kind of at our age, we're kind of like, do we really want to go into a gym?
Yeah. Well, if anything, the whole COVID, the whole pandemic thing, if anything, hopefully that'll awake people up and realize that, all you can do is take care of yourself and try to be as healthy as possible, because we know you'll have don't rely on anyone else or the government or this or that. It's like, take your health into your own hands and, don't wait for the magic shot or pill or whatever.
Right. Oh, no, exactly. But then again, don't shy away from some of the things that are out there besides that can help you. They're not going to, there is no such thing as a magic pill. So, but there are things that are useful. So what you have on your one page thing here about hormetic stressors?
Oh yeah.
We talk about that a little bit.
Sure. Well, hormetic stressors are, things that we've already actually talked a little bit about, like fasting is a stressor on the body.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That makes
So
sense.
yeah. The one thing you want to avoid is chronic stress, but acute stressors such as fasting, such as working out is a stressor.
Hmm.
Uh, Cold therapy would be like
Hmm.
cold showers
Uh,
or like cryotherapy, or even going in like a hot plunge tub or I'm sorry, a
a
cold plunge.
cold.
Yeah,
Okay.
I do cold plunging.
Uh-huh.
I do cold plunging, and it's like a game changer. If you've never done any type of like cold therapy, I definitely recommend it, just for like inflammation,
Uh-huh.
mood, mental clarity, even help with sleep and just recovery from working out. Um, you could do this with cold showers. I actually bought a cold plunge that I go in.
Uh-huh.
You want to talk about feeling like you're a new person going through that. Uh, and you don't need to be in it long. And then you can,
Yeah.
if possible, saunas are, so
Uh-huh.
cold, you got contrast therapy, you got cold therapy and hot therapy. And yeah, you don't have to buy like an infrared sauna, but they have like, I know there's companies that come up with like these infrared plates that you can use, because
Hmm.
you know infrared is, first of all, sweating is great, right?
Yeah.
Sweating is like first of all, your skin's like your biggest organ,
Yeah.
and just to detox and sweat and eliminate these toxins that can build up over time is really
Hmm.
important. So yeah, infrared has been great. I actually do infrared and I do cold therapy. And the infrared's great, again, removal of toxins,
Hmm.
help with muscle relaxation, can even and help improve immune function and make you look younger. It's great for your skin.
Huh.
Yeah, it helps me sleep. And so yeah, I'm a big fan of hormetic stressors. I think that anytime you can get a little bit out of your comfort zone,
Hmm.
and challenge yourself in these ways, um, can prove beneficial.
No, that makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
I just the thought of either one of them just
Well, hey, you got to start somewhere, right? I mean,
oh, I know.
I would say if you've never done either, at the end of your
Um,
shower, just put it on
yeah,
for 10 seconds,
yeah,
as cold as it goes,
yeah,
and just
yeah,
breathe through it. And the more you
yeah.
do it, and honestly, this is I go in the cold plunge and it's 48, what I think I have it set at 48 degrees.
Uh-huh.
And you just get better and better at it,
Yeah, I
you
had,
start slow.
God, many, 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 many years ago, I had tried it at one of the gyms that I was in, and boy, I just,
Yeah.
I
It's
couldn't
not for
even work
everybody.
up. I couldn't even work up. It was actually pretty funny. But yeah, and I just kind of went, okay, not doing this. I don't even like really hot weather or super cold weather.
Mm.
It's just, yeah, I can't, I don't know, whatever. Um, we don't need to go down that rabbit hole.
Yeah.
Um, and then let's see. So you have some other really interesting things here. You have about what are the hormonal benefits of intermittent fasting?
Yeah. So there's a few. I mean, one of the things that differentiates fasting from, let's just say, even if you're eating all day and you're restricting
Mm,
your calories, is, when you abstain from food, you turn on
hmm.
your counter regulatory hormones, and hormones such as noradrenaline
Hmm.
switch on, and essentially also, let's see what else. Autophagy is a benefit
Hmm.
of fasting. Cell cleansing, and there's been studies showing that growth hormone can get increased from abstaining from food. You know,
Uh-huh.
decrease in inflammation, learning how your body can potentially get into ketosis, which
Yeah.
can be protective
Right.
and anti-inflammatory and helpful even for brain health.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that, the thing is, people are fearful of it, but I think if you start slow and just, you gotta work your
Mm-hmm.
fasting muscle, just like,
Yeah.
if you never worked out, you wouldn't just go do a 2 hour,
At least I would
hardcore
hope not. Yeah.
workout. Yeah. Yeah. So, it can do a lot of different things. Adrenaline, growth hormone, and, clear thinking is huge. I
Mm,
just did a
yeah.
2-day fast, and, I felt so mentally sharp. It's amazing how much energy
Wow.
your body takes from just digesting food.
Okay. Uh-huh. Yeah.
So,
Yeah. So are the kind of, because I know there's a lot of different kinds of intermittent fasting
mhm,
programs,
yeah.
right? So I know at one point, a number of years ago, I had tried doing like the paleo one.
Okay. Well, paleo,
Um,
yeah, paleo is a type of eating, but
yeah.
that's,
Yeah.
the nice thing
But
about
it was
fast.
the, yeah, it was the, um,
Like 16-8 or something. That's like
yeah.
the one that you hear most of.
Yeah.
The nice thing about fasting is it doesn't matter what camp you ride in as far as what you're eating. If you're paleo, if you're
Okay.
carnivore, if you're
Yeah.
vegetarian, if you're pescatarian, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Uh, Intermittent fasting is all about just shrinking down when you're eating those foods to a
Yeah.
certain time period, and
Yeah.
there is research around circadian rhythm and eating
Hmm.
when it's light out. I think that's a good place to start. It's tough here in Chicago, it gets dark so early, but so you don't want to be eating too late into the night.
Yeah.
But either way, yeah, fasting can be implemented if you're doing paleo, keto,
Hmm.
carnivore, vegetarian. That's the great thing about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what is the just the number of hours kind of that you like? What's that?
Yeah. I mean, it's changed through the years. And
Mm,
I started out and it was probably like, I'd probably be fasting for maybe 12 to 14 hours, and then it's
hmm.
gone to 16. Now I'd say on average, and you're taking advantage of the overnight sleep. So that's, let's just say 8 hours right there. So,
Hmm.
let's say you stop eating at, my goal right now is I'm done eating at 6:30.
Mm,
Typically on, when I'm at home, I'm done eating at 6:30.
hmm.
And then I usually break my fast the next day, probably
Mm,
around 2. So it's
mm.
about 20
Okay.
hours. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And then I have 2 meals within, that 4 or 5 hour range.
Wow.
Um, yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I mix it up. There are days where I feel like I want to, maybe I'm doing more activities, and there's days where I might,
Hmm.
break my fast earlier. And there's other days where I just have one meal at the end of the day and then I'm done. And
Hmm.
yeah, I think that's the goal, is just to be flexible and be able
Yeah.
to sort of dictate when you want to eat, as opposed to just looking at the clock like most people do. They say, "Oh, it's noon, I should eat lunch." Well,
Yeah.
so
Yeah, exactly. Or the my stomach's growling and then they look at the clock. Oh, now it's lunchtime. Okay.
yeah, yeah, right, exactly. Yeah, I think what's one big thing is like to sort of sit in hunger a little bit,
Mm,
because those waves will, and that's proven,
hmm.
those hunger waves will come and go. So
Okay.
I used to not be like that. I used to, any inkling of hunger, I used to go grab a bar, a Kind bar, or
Okay.
you
Yeah.
name it. But once you get into fasting, you sort of start to become more intuitive into what true hunger is and what it isn't, and
Yeah.
realizing that hunger is okay. You're not, people think like, oh, I'm starving myself. Trust me, you're not starving
Yeah.
yourself. Your body can go many, 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 many days without eating.
Yeah.
I would just advise people, obviously, to get, if they've never done it, to get someone to help them and coach them through it.
Uh-huh.
And it's obviously, if you're obviously pregnant and things like this, breastfeeding,
Yeah. Mm,
and you're
it's
on a lot of
different.
medications, you should definitely get approval before you start doing it. But
Hmm.
you can start really slow, so um that's what I would advise.
Yeah. No, that makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense. And if nothing else, even then, just go find a book
Yeah,
that'll give
yeah,
you the diet and give you the,
yeah. I mean,
instructions
I can't,
and
yeah, like I came out with this Simple Intermittent Fasting
oh,
Journal
uh-huh. Yep.
and that's, that right there. I mean, whatever, it's a $10 guide
Yeah.
and takes you through 21 days of implementing fasting. And, anything, there's apps out there, what you got to find what works for you. But yeah, that's a good place to start.
Yeah. Yeah. I would think so. Cause I think it's the kind of thing that you really don't want to just kind of run off and do on your own without some kind of reference.
Yeah, I would agree. Do you maybe find someone to do it with, or,
Yeah.
get
Or
some
someone at least to
guidance.
talk to or something about it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. And I wouldn't even, if, there's people that I wouldn't talk to people who aren't going to be supportive, because a lot of people just,
Yeah.
they hear it and they think that it's just not, starvation or whatever they want to think,
Right.
and you got to surround yourself with people that are going to support you.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and especially, if you look at what you're already doing, most people, as you say, most people are doing probably plus or minus 10 hours now.
Yeah.
And
You'd
so
hope so. I mean, I
yeah.
think, I think one big rule of thumb for people starting out is just don't eat right when you get up, and don't eat close to bedtime. I think those are like two good ways to sort of start. So pick a time you want to finish and close the kitchen. Let's say it's 7 o'clock, and finish, and find a time, not right away. Let's say you get up at 7 the next morning. At 7:30, you don't need to be eating. I would give yourself a little bit of time to have that first meal, and naturally get up, and because if you start right away, it's just going to lead to more and more hunger throughout the day, and snacking and things like that. So
yeah. I know my husband and I get up a little earlier than he does, and then we go out for a walk and come back, and
that's nice. It's great. Walking is such a great, like, small little thing, and you think it's like nothing, but it can go a long way. Even walking after meals, just to help with blood sugar regulation and digestion, is really a great health hack.
Yeah. We mostly go beforehand, although today we did go afterwards. It was totally fogged in outside, and we went, that's okay, I'll turn the coffee on for now and then we'll go afterwards.
Yeah.
Yeah. But but that we have that. My husband's fully retired and I'm kind of semi-retired. I do my podcast, and I do coaching. And so it's really on my schedule. Right.
That's nice.
Yeah. So it's easier for us than when we were both working full time, and yeah. So and it's and it's just kind of nice for the two of us to spend some time together, which is also something I think that people need to look at in their lives.
The relationships, and I think I mean, I have 2 dogs, so they get me out walking. So
I bet they do.
We average 3-4 walks a day. So I spoil them. People who get dogs and put them in their backyard and never walk them. I mean, I don't think that's reason to get a dog. They shouldn't be getting dogs.
Well, I don't know. There are hell of a lot of people that are out there walking their dogs when we go out for our walk in the morning.
Where part of where are you in?
We live just north of San Francisco.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, in Marin County, San Rafael.
Cool.
So, yeah.
That's beautiful.
And we don't get the super cold, or although it does get hot here during the summers. Yeah. But that's okay. That's what air conditioning's for.
Yeah, I hear you.
So, okay. Well, is there anything else that you would like to, talk about, or I will definitely put your website link in the show notes. And
I mean, nothing too much else. I think we touched on a lot.
Mhm.
And yeah, if people want to reach out, they can just reach out and we can talk. I do have like just a 10-15 minute consult. And
Mhm.
but no, yeah, I'm happy to, I'm glad I'm on. And if people got questions, they can definitely reach out and through my website, and I'll get back to them. And
Okay.
but yeah,
Okay.
if they're, you know, like mentioned, if they're looking to get into fasting or cold therapy or warm therapy
Mhm.
or whatever it is, feel free to reach out.
Okay. Okay. No, that sounds great. Yeah, because you have a number of different programs, right?
Yeah,
That
I
people
mean,
can go through
yeah, I do. I mean, I have my main
the
blueprint
blueprint.
program.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, there are a few different other options if people aren't, if that's not for them. So
Mhm. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, and you certainly have the years of experience to help people. So I think that's great. You know, there are a lot of people out there that it's kind of like, especially for people our age, you know, you a 20-year-old or a 25-year-old, just especially when it comes to physical stuff,
hmm,
is just kind of hard to make that connection.
yeah, yeah, it's definitely a little bit different as you get up there,
Yeah.
but but it's never too late. So
Yeah. No, and I think that's a great message. I think that's
yeah,
a great message as well. Yeah, because there are a lot of people that are stuck on their couches these days,
yeah, for sure.
you know. And it sounds like you've got some answers to what people can do at home.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's great. Okay. Well, thank you very much. I have to always end this with that I'm not a doctor. This is not medical advice. If you're having any kind of physical issues or medical issues, please go to your own doctor and or the emergency room, whichever is more appropriate for whatever's going on. And with that, I will say thank you to Brian, and
Thanks,
I will
Susan. I
talk.
appreciate it. Yeah, thanks for having me on.
It was very informative. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And with that, I'll say I will talk to all of you next week.